Hey everybody, I'm Asian Funk. Welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm joined by a really awesome guest. He is a sketch card artist and illustrator for Upper Deck, Tim Feigley. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Do you want to just kind of like talk about what it is that you do? Is this like your full-time job? How did you get into sketch card drawing and how you ended up working at or for Upper Deck?
No, thanks for asking. As far as being like, a sketch card artist, I originally got into it because, well, I have a friend of mine who works at the company and mentioned like, hey, this is kind of a thing that they extend to many, many different kinds of artists. Like you were just supposed to show proof of concept, maybe here's a blank card, draw Wolverine or something like that. And if they like it, they may indeed send you boxes. Just remember to get them done on time. Don't make like Spider-Man, do things Spider-Man wouldn't do. Like just don't draw banned characters and you'll be good. Stick with the pack. And I did it, and that was back in, I think, April 2017. So okay. I've been doing it for quite some time, over 4 years now.
And how many sketch cards do you think you've done since then? Like specifically for Marvel?
Specifically for Marvel,
or I guess Marvel cards for Upper Deck, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, if it's just Marvel, probably I want to say I've probably done over 3,000 cards.
What?
Just because like a certain pack, I mean, I won't just show the, like in a box like this, it can hold like 40 to 60 cards, but they send you like 5 of those. Like,
oh wow,
but if you do 5 of those and then like, oh, you're done with those, well, here's another 5. And
do you have to request more, or do they just send you these for every
they ask me like, are you interested in doing more? Hey, here's like a contract, here's one for Falcon and Winter Soldier, here's one for Avengers Endgame, here's one for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, here's one for such a Marvel 80th anniversary. Like then I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I do it.
That's really awesome. Can you talk about, you mentioned like there are certain rules you have to follow, like, you can't draw characters doing things they normally wouldn't do. Can you talk about some of those restrictions and like, are there characters that you always want to draw but aren't allowed to? Just like kind of talk about certain things that you're not supposed to. I think that's really fascinating.
Oh yeah, this is because of the guidelines, because it's supposed to be all ages, which means that you can't have Wolverine having his claws out. You can't have Wolverine with bloody claws, so to speak. You can't have battle damage. You can't have something that would otherwise compromise the potential image of the characters, because you're dealing with Disney now. Like you're also dealing, even those limited licenses and rights with Marvel, because there's still some kinds of autonomy they have. They're still answering to different kinds of peoples now than they did 10 years ago. And like say for instance, like you can't have any of the characters drinking beer. There's no, should be no alcohol. There should be no
smoking,
dangerous paraphernalia. You can't have a gun aiming at the viewer. It has to be to the side, and it has to be maybe more fictionalized.
Interesting. So you got to make the gun less like a gun.
I could go over that. Yeah. If I draw, like I can't draw any Fantastic Four. Period. Right. Any characters related to Fantastic Four, because the Fox, even though it's owned by Disney now, this was in effect before those negotiations were in place, and there's still residuals of how that is.
Yes.
So like there's like, I would love to draw Dr. Doom. Have never done it because I cannot.
Yes, right.
I'm not allowed to.
Yes. Interesting. But so do those same restrictions and guidelines apply if you are doing an artist proof commission? Okay.
It still applies. It actually still applies. Like say, can't have Spider-Man just like surrounded by Budweiser, because it still needs to be scanned into Upper Deck for approval to be sent out to the customer, because it still has the printed logo. Now, if I just did a completely blank card or just like a sheet of paper, and I could draw whatever I want for whatever price I want, because that's just a personal commission. But if it is linked with a printed artist proof, I still need to abide by Upper Deck guidelines, because that is just still making sure that the it's still like all ages. The
Yeah.
whole like Nana can open up this card and not be like terrified. Like
Right,
or if it's
right.
retold that like Upper Deck's name isn't just like completely tarnished.
I'm sure you must have experienced this, but I've heard like stories of like rejected cards and you couldn't
I
figure
have
out.
rejected cards.
Yeah. Can you
I
talk
have,
about
like, oh yes.
that process and just kind of trying to understand why they were rejected?
Sometimes I do, other times it's mysterious. Like there's like this one, I remember this one time actually. There's very, very stringent rules for Howard the Duck. It's
Oh, but that's
very,
hilarious.
because he has to be always in red. He needs to have his fedora. He needs to have his vest. He needs to have a tie. He has to have pants on. He can't be, but he also can't be smoking a cigar because no smoking.
Right.
But one of my Howard the Duck cards got rejected because he had his tie was loosened.
What?
He still had it, but it was like loosened.
They tell you that. They said, do they just tell you this card?
They don't actually tell the reason, but that is the only reason I can think of.
Oh, okay.
Because like all my other Howard the Ducks have been approved up, but I also put that tie up. This tie was there, but it was loose.
That is interesting.
It was fascinating. Like, oh, that's why. And other times I've also had cards rejected for like specific characters. There's like some X-Men characters I can't draw. I can't draw Apocalypse. Can't draw Nightcrawler. Can't draw Gambit. Except one exception. I could draw Gambit one time. There was only one time, and I don't know why, but I could because it was printed on the card. And if it has a specific character, you have to draw that character. Like if the card says Gambit, don't draw Spider-Man. Don't be a jerk. Draw Gambit.
Interesting.
And other ones were like I drew the Jackal, like the Green Jackal from Spider-Man the original Clone Saga.
Yeah.
He got rejected for reasons I don't understand. I don't know why. He's not a banned character. He's also not an approved character either, so I don't know. So
interesting. Yeah, so like what happens if do they give you a list of characters that you have to draw? And then
there's a list of characters that you cannot draw, not necessarily a list of characters that you can draw. But they do give you a list of things like no Transformers, no Marvel Transformers, no Conan the Barbarian, no like I don't think you can draw Kazar. You can't draw Rom Space Knight. You can't. You can't draw like I don't know. Was GoBots a Marvel? or Godzilla there's technically a Godzilla Marvel comic. You can't draw that Godzilla.
Yeah. So okay. So if they just give you a list of what you can't draw, basically, does that mean like you can draw like gender bending characters? Like, can you do like?
No, there is not a gender It is not. It's one of those things I've tried. However, I'm almost entirely certain it will not go over well. I have not tried. I suppose I could like sacrifice a card to see what happens, because the worst that happens is just rejection as opposed to a slap on the wrist. Because a rejected card is already a slap on. Not a slap on the wrist, but like just like no.
So yeah, that makes sense. Like, why would you try something if you know for sure it's going to get rejected?
If I just like. Because you're technically being paid by the card, and then by the box, and you just keep wasting your own time. Why would you do that? Just to be told bad job.
Yeah. Can you talk about like your process, like how you sort of come up with your ideas? Like, what if you want to draw a character but you're not like familiar with? Like, what kind of research do you do to kind of like come up with a concept, and like what do you do to keep your sketches fresh? Because I'm assuming since you've done like 3,000 cards, you've probably drawn like Wolverine, at least 100 times. What do you do to kind of keep it?
Him quite a bit. A lot of Spider-Man, a lot of Venom.
Who's the most? Which character do you think you've sketched the most?
I'm trying to. That is a good question. Like, because there's ones where that they are tried and true, because like you can't not draw like a Captain America,
sure,
or a Spider-Man, or Iron Man. I mean, I feel as though I can. It's really easy to draw Venom in different ways, because has a very forgiving design in that sense. It doesn't have to be the exact divots of like to this black to white over here. His tongue could be long. It could be. I've drawn like Todd McFarlane kind of flat tooth Venom before. But I've done like the super tonguey ones and like the unbelievably buff ones and like
Yeah,
just
yeah.
slightly more buff ones.
Interesting.
Just like there's certain variations that are permissible,
Yeah.
and sometimes I just think of different different approaches, different backgrounds, like or like rely on complementary colors. Like say if like that Jubilee over there, lots of yellow, complementary color. How about some magenta and purple? Make it pop out a little bit over there. Or I have like or that's why like like sometimes with like Hawkeye over there, like he's got a little pink, like he's kind of like that the pinkish purple part, put a green background, just frame him just a little bit, or something that's just gonna make it stand out to someone who would potentially want to collect it.
Right. How do you decide if you're going to sketch a character that's like a close up or further away? What makes you decide that?
I guess sheer mood. It's just like it's like I'm feeling knit eyebrow day, or if I'm feeling like it's time to have like I should draw a few more women in this, because I mean I love drawing women, but because to make them look at least closer on model, and also I have to be careful with like the chest portion, because even if there's like a little bit of shape, even a little bit, it can be totally rejected.
It's got to be family friendly, right? It's got to be
family, even if it's completely covered. If there's too much shape, or even a little divot, like I have to be careful. Interesting.
Do you now that you've done cards for so many, like at least 3 years, are there times where you really try to push how far you can go? Like, are there times where you're like, I'm going to see if I can like really push this character because it looks better? Like, are there times where you really try to like go as far as you can without getting it rejected?
I mean, there's times where like I'll try to just like flesh it out more, because it's really more a matter of time. Like I'll have a lot of boxes, and I just want to make sure I live up to the contractual obligations of it. I usually almost always have it done early, but I just want to make sure it gets done on time, and just want to because I also do personal commissions as well.
Yeah.
I also have a day job, so it's like I have 3 jobs essentially. So I'm like just perpetually busy.
Yeah. How many sketch cards can you do in a day? Like at your most efficient?
Potentially, if I'm just like all in, just completely undistracted, I could potentially do 20.
Wow.
But potentially, I mean, usually it's more like 10 or 12.
Yeah. Like if you have no interruptions, you didn't have to eat or like sleep or anything, like 20, right?
Didn't want to see my mom, didn't talk to my wife, like
that's right. Yeah, you could potentially do one every hour. Yeah, interesting.
I could do like actually, depending on it, I could do like 3 or 4 in an hour. Like I think one time I was able to do 5 in 1 hour.
That's crazy. That was
but I was just like, there's like a certain amount of speed where like this is as fast as these materials, because they're all marker.
Okay.
In particular, I use Faber-Castell pit pens.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of these because these ones are pigment, not dye, which means they have no alcohol, and they also have no odor. They're also more archival than Copics because they don't have the alcohol, because alcohol denatures color. Yes. So therefore, like that purple you got over there is going to pretty much stay that purple a lot longer than a Copics purple is going to be.
Huh. Interesting. And it probably won't bleed as fast through the paper, right? Like,
no, it's archival. It's supposed to actually.
It's supposed to sink in.
It's like it's good stuff. They're actually. It's and also they're odorless too, because they don't have the alcohol.
That's right. So you don't have to worry about sniffing it hour after hour, and
it has no portion of that. And they're and also if you use another marker on top of the other, it doesn't lift up the previous color as long as it's properly dry, and as long as you don't scrub. So it keeps, you can actually have more translucencies and more color clarity.
Yeah, because I think from all the sketches I've seen, and we'll look at some of your cards more in depth in a minute. like I could tell like sometimes it seems like the materials are different, and then sometimes you change your style depending on like the set. So I think it's really interesting. Which character do you think is the most challenging to sketch? Like the one that probably takes the most time and effort?
Let's see. The one I would say who is the most difficult? The one that I have to stop and thinking, okay, you got to do this one a little bit. You got to think a little bit more about this one than others. I would almost say like, kind of like I've drawn like Silver Samurai before and Spiral, just because it takes I mean, they're out there, but
right, yeah,
they like it can be a little more difficult to draw because of like they're like a lot more angular and there's a lot more things to put together for it. Just like putting it all together. I mean, there's not a lot too much color involved with them, but just I want to make them look good. And
yeah, that makes sense. It's probably why you don't see Spiral very often, is because it's hard enough to draw
all those arms,
2 hands. Now you got to draw 6 of them. So yeah, I can understand why people are like, oh, I'm not going to draw her. Like a doppelganger Spider-Man, something like that. Like
I drew one doppelganger.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes, like I don't know where he is. Maybe the thing is because they end up in deluxe box sets, it may not have been purchased yet. Could just it's out there somewhere. I've done it for like over 4 years, and like, so they're just around somewhere.
I think
or maybe the person's like they just want to keep it and didn't show anyone. I don't know.
Greedy.
Up to the individual.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. And it took me a long time to realize that there are cards that people did like decades ago, and they haven't even surfaced yet because either the person who bought the box or the pack hasn't opened them, or the person who has them just hasn't shared it. So like you'll never know until it just shows up, and you're like, that's crazy. Like
most of these I did either at the beginning, like within like 2 years actually. Just because I've done so many boxes. Also, I've done a lot of non-Marvel card sets too. I've done Alien 3. I've done Chasing Amy.
Oh, that's so random.
It's very, very random. Like I've done a lot of Goodwin Champion Aesop Fable things. Like like all about like children's storybooks. And for some reason, by the way, those sell out more than the Marvel cards.
Really? That is surprising.
You think like when you think of Aesop's Fables or Grimm's Fairy Tales, you don't think this flying off the shelves over like Spider-Man. But guess what? It's totally like they sell out.
That's interesting. Are these are all under Upper Deck, right? Or are these different?
Upper Deck. Yeah, it's Upper Deck.
Okay. Interesting.
I thought it was like incredibly fascinating. Like, really?
Huh. Is it how does that work then? Like, do they so you do one set for them, and then is it like they ask you, hey, do you want to do a different set? Or do they just give it? They
just send me email after email after that, like, hey, you want to do this one? Does that sound good? These rates? I'm like, yeah. Like, hey, you're interested in doing this one? Or like, hey, we sent you one. Want to do another box set of the same series again? Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Has there been a set where you were like, oh, this is going to be challenging because either you don't have any idea about the subject or
Chasing Amy.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't draw Ben Affleck and I couldn't draw the woman who is Amy. So I just had to draw Jason Lee over and over again.
That's hilarious. Is it so like when you're drawing likenesses of celebrities, do you know if they have to approve it, or is it just kind of
I have to like it was kind of a tricky thing too, because they like for the Alien set, I couldn't draw Sigourney Weaver as Ripley because she didn't sign off on it. And actually I got some cards rejected because I couldn't even draw Ripley even if it didn't look like Sigourney Weaver. So if it literally was just a bald woman and I said, hey, that's Ripley, it would get rejected, even if it looked like Elmer Fudd.
Wow.
It's kind of fun. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm trying to think how would I go around that? Like I would literally just not even show the head. It would just be like a torso holding a gun or pointing a gun away from the camera, and then like it's just like an ambiguous figure fighting an alien, right? Like
I did an ambiguous one, and those got rejected. Like I did one of her like falling into the lava. It was just a silhouette. The silhouette got rejected.
Wow.
Like
They're like, we know what he's trying to do. We know what he's trying to do. We're gonna
because but the rules changed mid contract because originally it said just don't draw, don't make it look like Sigourney Weaver. But it was just like, we don't want to see a Ripley.
Right. Yeah. You're just like, just say that. Like,
yeah,
I'll just completely not think about it at all.
But I could draw Charles Dance, like, the guy who, I mean, he was the guy who was like Tywin Lannister in Game of Thrones. He was in Alien 3.
That's right.
But I could totally draw him as Charles Dance.
Huh.
It was totally fine. It was totally approved.
He's probably just a really chill guy. He's like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. It's
and the guy played Bishop. I could totally draw him. Totally.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I like that. I like hearing things like that where it's like, even if you nail the likeness, you just never know, and you never know if it's going to be approved or if it's like, if they say, they give you one stipulation, you actually follow it, and it still might be rejected. So,
or like this time when I drew, there's some armored, guards in Alien 3. I drew the guards in, some portions, and it was totally approved. I drew one of the guard armors where it was just like, almost like on a mantelpiece, just on a mantelpiece, and it was rejected.
That's hilarious. You're like, I don't get it. I literally just did a zoom in shot of the same sketch. And then, yeah, that's funny.
Yes. Sometimes it's, I don't know if they're just like, we just have to reject something.
It's also possible, right? I mean,
you can pay him less.
Oh no. Well, I'm always wondering.
I know, I got that. No, it's not like that.
But
it's like, it's just like, because it's everyone, because I still actually have, I talk to a lot of people at Upper Deck in the actual office, and they really like it. And they usually tell me, man, we love all of these. And sometimes they'll send an email saying, we don't know why these got rejected because it's out of their hands.
Oh, so even like sometimes they have no control over.
No, they don't.
That's even crazier.
They could love everything I've done, and hypothetically, it could not necessarily go so well.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I guess it's like there's still more than just like, it's not just Upper Deck. It's like, then it's Marvel, and then it's like the celebrity. Like there's still like Disney. Levels, and then Disney. That's right. Yes.
And also with like Alien 3, it's like, 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. And I guess at some point there's going to be somebody who's going to be like, I don't like it. And all it takes is like one, right?
And Jason Amy, like, it was actually in coordination with Skybox. So it was like, so, take that as you will.
Yeah. That's so interesting. It's just like, you work hard on a card, and then like, it just takes one no or one thing. You don't even know sometimes why.
Most get approved, so it doesn't bother me.
Like, that's good. That's
an overwhelming number of cards of mine get approved, and I'm always grateful that they like it. It is rare. I mean, it's funny. Like early on, I had more rejections, but now it can kind of streamline what works out. And, what to stay away from and what to totally lean into.
That's cool. So these are some of the other cards that I thought were really interesting. You were talking about how like you've drawn tons of.
I found all my Ghost Riders and my.
Yeah. So okay, I want to know, like, so you have a certain drawing style. How do you change it up depending on the set? Because I'm looking at the Sabretooth and they look completely different, but because one of them is like, Marvel anime, I'm assuming you wanted to kind of draw it more like an animated type of way. Like, can you talk about like what you do to change your art style so that it fits the set?
For that one over there, like I was trying to look at animation styles of like say like Vampire Hunter D and just other different styles of anime, because anime is both a genre and a medium. So it was one of those things like, well, there's so much to pull from and a lot of fun that can be had from it. And like there's like obviously like the super deformed, which can be slightly different but similar to Chibi. And then there's ones that are a little bit more Yoshiaki Kawajiri like. And then there's ones that are a little bit, I did a couple that were kind of sort of Dragon Ball-ish or Ranma.
Yeah.
just like a hint of it, because I'm not trying to plagiarize, but it also you want to lean into the aesthetic.
Right. Did you have to like, how much prep did you have to kind of like, give yourself to kind of figure out like, okay, this is the style I'm doing for anime as opposed to your regular style? Like how long?
I try to give myself like 15 minutes for I just like, I try to. I mean, sometimes I can, really baby a card and spend like an hour or so on it, but usually I'm just like, I gotta keep going. So
how many cards per, you said, I don't know, I can't remember if you mentioned, but like how many cards per set do you normally get, like on average? Like in the
usually
first,
it's 40. I mean, it can go as low as 30. I've had some where I did this one really big box set that still pending approval, where it had multiple it was one that was a bookend where it was like 2 pieces.
Oh yeah.
And there's one that actually had a 3 panel. I had one that had a 4 panel, one that had a 5 panel.
What?
And I had to draw both sides of it too.
Wow. Okay, so that's basically like 8 to 10 cards, right? Yeah. That's interesting. Do you in those cases, are you trying to create like one scene, or are you just gonna break them up into 5 and just have them be separate pieces?
Well, I mean, they're all like one piece of bristle board or whatever, like that cardstock is, with some scoring. So ultimately, it's just one piece. It's not. I've done lots of puzzle pieces too. There's usually not a lot on mine because usually that takes a lot of box sets to go through.
Yeah, no kidding. Huh. Okay.
Like the coincidence of it.
Sure. Yeah. And I don't think I've never gotten a puzzle piece, and like sometimes I see online they post it like, oh, I got like, all 4 of them. I'm like, did you get them all in the same box? Did you buy like 1,500? Like I don't.
How much did you spend on this? Like,
yeah. Like, how did you get this? Because like I don't know. I personally don't know anybody who's completed a set of any, like even 2, one of 2. I've never even seen those. Like
someone else has to give it up still, like, or it's still
exactly
in the box.
Right. Well, you have to hope it's been pulled somewhere, and then you have to hope that they have posted it somewhere. So there's still too many like steps.
Too many variables.
Actually, yes, too many variables. Cool.
Like I did this one puzzle set of like of the Sinister Six. I did one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Did one of Cable. Did one of like pieced together. One of Venom. Did one of Old Lace from Runaways. It was just like the Raptor. I did a lot of Runaway puzzle pieces.
Interesting. What's like the most obscure character you've sketched that you are positive most people, most fans would not even know, like, and you were like, you really wanted to draw this character? Does any stand up in your mind?
I mean, I like drawing Grim Reaper. I like drawing Whirlwind. I like drawing Avengers bad guys.
He creates a tornado and he's like on top of it. Yeah. Is that him?
He looks like a big like green cylinder.
Yes. Okay. That's funny. Huh.
I've drawn him. Let's see what else I've drawn. I've drawn Cold Stone.
Who's that?
He's kind of like he's a Spider-Man villain. He kind of reminds you. He's got sharp teeth. He's kind of pale white. He works for the Kingpin a lot.
Is that Tombstone?
Or it's Tombstone. I'm thinking of Tombstone, not Cold Stone. Like
okay,
That's I'm thinking of like what's his face from like Gargoyles or something.
Yes. Yeah. I was like, I know it's like when you were describing it, I was like, that sounds like someone else, but I'm like, maybe I'm the one who doesn't know this character.
No, you're right. It's Tombstone.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah, not a lot of Tombstones. I will agree with that.
Well, you got a chameleon. I don't know if a lot of people draw a chameleon.
No, well, you know what's funny? I feel like I see it in waves where there will be no chameleon sketches for a while, and then all of a sudden you'll see like 3 or 4 pop up. But then for some reason you're like, I'm not really. I don't know. I feel like chameleon can be one of those characters that you can kind of get lazy because it's just like a white mask, and then you just put him in a suit, and then that's chameleon, right? Like
yeah.
So
it would be like, haha, I gotcha.
That right, yeah. So yeah, I think chameleon's one of them I always look for, and then like I always look for like Impossible Man. I don't know if you know who that character is. He kind of looks like a green alien with a cone head.
Yeah. I think I've never drawn him, and I wonder if he's on the banned list.
He probably is. I mean, I've only ever seen like 2 or 3, like ever. Like, and these are
there's
old,
usually
old
a reason
sets.
for it, because other than popularity, sometimes they're like there's a reason why, like, you know, I haven't drawn like, you know, Human Torch.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Well, and I think that's part of what makes collecting the older sets, because like, you know, the rules were different back then, where like maybe they were less kid friendly, you know, or like there were characters that you don't see anymore, but for whatever reason. So yeah, I can see how, like, you know, you want to draw a character that you can't draw, that probably will never be able to for a while.
I would love to draw my Doctor Doom. I would, if like that or allowed, I would draw so much Doctor Doom.
I'm assuming you've done a Doctor Doom AP commission, right?
No, because I actually wouldn't be allowed to do it.
Oh, that's right. Because the same
like,
rules apply.
I could do like one of like, hey, make me a 9x12 just on Bristol paper. Make him like making breakfast. Make him like Doom eggs and Doom bacon.
I want a Doctor Doom smoking a cigarette and drinking a beer.
And drinking a beer, and it's just like, you know, it's just like a Fat Tuesday.
So I mean, I guess let me rephrase that. So have you drawn Doctor Doom, or a character you can't draw, like on a non Upper Deck commission type thing? Like, have you done, I guess, characters?
I've done it. I did actually. I made a Doctor Doom piece. Actually, it's in our house somewhere. Like, just because I just put it up against the wall next to our plants.
That's hilarious.
In a very like imposing frame.
Oh, of course.
But he's all just looking off to the side, just doing what Doom does, because Doom speaks in the third person as Doom well.
Of course. That's hilarious. Is there a card that you've drawn where you really wanted to keep it because you thought it was so good? Like, was there, I mean, I'm assuming all your cards are your babies, right? But like, was there ever a card where you're like, I wish I could keep this one?
There's a couple of like some of the 5 pounds I did recently. We did one of like Giant Man that I really liked. Where he's just kind of like peeking around the corner of a building and just kind of smiling.
That's have you seen that? Has someone posted that?
Well, it hasn't been approved yet. I hope it gets approved. Like, you know, I really enjoy doing it.
Oh,
I did it like about 3 months ago.
Oh, I see. That's hilarious. I can totally picture that, and it sounds hilarious. That's funny.
Sometimes I make my characters just like look and just like give a thumbs up, just because. Like, I have one of the lizard just giving a thumbs up. I have one of just various villains just giving thumbs up, just because.
Oh, that's amazing.
There's nothing illegal. There's nothing, you know, inappropriate about it.
Yeah. Oh man. Okay. I think I'm gonna start looking for those. I'm gonna start looking for those, and I'm gonna collect them.
Like the ones where they're all giving. There's one that I did of like the Wrecking Crew all together
with a thumbs up.
They didn't have the thumbs up. I should have them all doing the thumbs up. Maybe I'll do that on another one. But there's a lot of ones where they are just doing a thumbs up for like no particular reason.
Yeah. That's hilarious. I try to I went through a phase too where I was like, I'm gonna just collect really like the oddest cards, like the cards that like you look at and you're like, I don't know what they're doing. Like I had a phase where I was like, I'm gonna collect all these weird cards, and I think that would be one of those types of cards I'd want, is like thumbs up, you know, like characters peeking around the corner, you don't know what's going on, or like facial expressions that don't make sense. You're like, that's weird. Like, why is Wolverine laughing? Like, that's a weird one.
What are you laughing at? I've done one with like just like Logan, because sometimes I forgot, like, oh wait, I could totally draw Logan. Like, as in just like he's just in his like shearling jacket with, you know, permanent frown on his face.
That's hilarious. Like, okay, I'm trying to think. If you were to draw like like Venom reading a book, do you think that would pass?
I mean, I suppose it's possible. I've had with Beast reading a book.
That's right. Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure passed.
Yeah, I guess that makes more sense. Yeah. What if like Venom was like eating popcorn?
It's one of those things where I would probably be fine. I'm just not. It didn't occur to me, like, just because of like Am I just risking it for literally nothing?
Yeah.
The popcorn isn't a statement of any way other than it being popcorn entertainment.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could probably get away with it. Sorry, there's a scooter driving by my apartment. Just give me a second.
Oh, no worries. Well, I guess I could have them all where like all the Marvel characters are just on their phones, bored. Like
That's
it could
right.
be just like Green Goblin on his phone, bored. Like
Yeah.
maybe
I
Carnage on
think
his phone, bored.
that could be like a really cool set, right? Like
I like everything rejected.
that's right. Yeah. They would not even give you a reason. They would just be like rejected. We're not going to even
Don't I don't want to ever see this from you ever again.
Yeah, well, because like Deadpool, I've seen a lot of sketches of Deadpool. Not the 80s Deadpool, but more like the current one where you can basically get away with almost anything with Deadpool. Like Deadpool eating popcorn makes sense, right? Like Deadpool drawing himself makes sense. Like, and I guess that's probably the character you want to try those weird meta things with instead of like Venom reading a book or something like that. You probably would give that
I don't get it. Rejected.
That's funny.
Right. I'm rarely actually allowed to draw Deadpool unless specifically allowed, like because of Fox rights.
That's right.
So like I could do it on specific card sets, but otherwise he's technically banned.
Really? What other characters that are banned that like kind of surprised you? Like it makes sense for Fantastic Four and Deadpool, but like are there other characters where you're like, I don't understand why he's banned?
Nightcrawler. I mean, I don't know why, but you could. I mean, what kind of X-Men character is on? Because you could say Wolverine is, totally Fox, but he's not. And right. I could draw Cyclops. I could draw different kinds of Professor X. I could draw Magneto. It got through the cracks. It exists in the universe. I could draw Polaris. I could draw lots of Cable. I could draw. Sometimes Colossus gets rejected, and sometimes Colossus doesn't get rejected, and I don't understand it.
I was gonna say like Colossus would be like the natural. It's Colossus, and then it's Nightcrawler, right? Like it's just like, huh? That's
Rogue. I mean, they all have a lot of Fox related things, but I don't know what specific things were involved in terms of, long expanding rights or limited rights happened with Gambit and Nightcrawler.
Oh yeah.
But Gambit, like I've only drawn him once because they only let me draw him once in 4 years.
Yeah, because they basically explicitly said one Gambit, right? They were just like, huh, I have not seen your Gambit yet. What do you know? Can you say? Can you? What set was that for? Can you say?
That is a good. Oh my gosh, like it's like what set is because I also my phone I save an amount like what I've done, like where they've.
Oh, really? Is that how do you? What's your organization like? I guess while you're
I have to like put the albums according to like I like to organize it according to what box set I did. So because I have to scan these in first, I have to scan them into Upper Deck because the scans go to Upper Deck in Carlsbad, California, where like they actually look at it, but the actual physical set gets sent to Morrisville, South Carolina.
Oh, when you physically
the actual them. Box, South Carolina, North Carolina, actually.
Huh. Interesting.
And it just like that's just where it goes, and it goes different places. But then it's seen by like all the higher ups. And like another set that I kind of wish I could have kept was one of the Masters of Evil.
Which one?
It has like the Beetle, has the Fixer, it has
it's a group
Tiger
one?
Shark, Moonstone, Baron Zemo, and Blythe.
Was this like a 5-panel one, or was this all in one?
It was a 4-panel one.
Okay. Interesting. Do you tend to what's the most number of characters you've crammed into like one card?
Oftentimes it ends up being Avengers being hung out, put all together. Like, I was told to show you this, but these have not been approved yet.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
But usually it's like usually I end up having like 6, maybe 8. I have this one Avengers, one that has Vision, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Captain America, the Hulk, and then there's ones I've done in the past where it had a couple extra characters. One I did with just a bunch of Sentinels on it.
Oh, that's the same guy.
Just a bunch of like Sentinels flying.
Yeah. I don't think I've seen a Sentinel from you yet, so that's exciting.
It's a recent one. It's from the new set. Again, who knows? Maybe
oh man, yeah. That's right. Yeah. We'll just have to. I'll have to interview you again as soon as that set gets released.
That set is the Marvel Premiere 2021.
Oh, very nice.
So I've done Marvel Premiere. There's a Marvel Annual one that I'm doing over here.
Yeah.
Then a Marvel Allure 2021.
Nice. Oh yeah.
Let's see what other ones. Marvel 2020, like Black Diamond.
Yes.
Let's see, Falcon Winter Soldier.
How much lead time do you get? Like basically once you get the cards in the mail.
They're usually due in about a month. I've had ones where they're like, it was such a crunch time. They're like, can you finish this in like 2 weeks?
You're like,
I do, but
yeah. You're like, oh, I won't talk to anybody for 2 weeks. See ya.
Obviously, I will do my darndest and do my best because ultimately I want to do my best.
Yeah.
Actually, probably at this point, it's probably been over like 4,000 cards. I think
okay.
Because it's been like since 2017. It's 2021 now.
Right. Yeah. So more than
like
3. It's like 4. No. Yeah. Wait.
Like 3,000 of like Marvel.
Yeah, like 4 years.
If you include everybody else.
Correct. Yeah. 4,000 in total.
Where like they're like like one was called like the Cosmic line, where I was thinking, oh wait, I get to do a lot of cosmic things like Eternity or Infinity. Like nope, it's just drawing a bunch of planets.
Wait, what?
I have one Marvel Cosmic card set where it's just like the planets. Like I gotta draw the sun. I've got to draw the Earth. I've got to draw them. Yep. And some of the sets were like big. Like some of the one was like 11 by 14.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, I know, really big. Like this is just like, here is Venus. Here is Jupiter.
Interesting.
Like I've done random cards.
Yeah.
Random card sets at this point.
Right. Huh. That's kind of cool. I mean, it's probably like a nice change of pace. Yeah. Huh. I'll have to look those up. It's like I'm constantly amazed by like how many, just like the breadth of cards that like Upper Deck actually produces. And it's a lot.
Yeah,
and that's
cool.
Including
their actual sports.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not even counting the sports stuff. I'm just like their non-sports stuff.
NBA.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool that they based on your work on one set, they give you the opportunity to do other sets. That's actually pretty cool. And yeah, you're talking about this is the last slide. You were just kind of talking about like those dual panels and like bigger canvases. When you have more space, do you tend to like, obviously you put more detail into them, but like, do you kind of keep your characters still more or less the same size? Or do you really like just kind of enlarge them and really go for like detail and like close-ups with more detail? Or do you keep your characters still kind of like far away, but like just give it more, I don't know, more environment?
It kind of just depends on like what's going on in their face. Like those ones that you have over there, they're pretty much only like 2-card panels, so they're actually not that big.
That's right. Yeah.
These ones, at least these ones in particular, like over there with the Taskmaster, but it's Taskmaster versus Deadpool. I had to draw Taskmaster versus Deadpool in that. So like that's one of the few occasions where that was the case that I could draw Mr. Deadpool
with the thumbs up. I just noticed that.
I know the guy who actually got that card. I think he actually won it. Like he actually reached out to me on Instagram saying, "Hey, like I got this card. Like I would love your work."
Huh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Like I actually, I get messaged a lot about saying, "Hey, I got your card," because I do appreciate it. I usually put my Instagram hashtag on it because I appreciate being reached out and I appreciate people enjoying what I've done. And within Upper Deck guidelines, I can do commissions as well.
Yeah. I know. I'm still. I'm kind of currently on like a financial lockdown, but man, I'm like you're on my list of people I definitely want to like get a commission from. And as soon as like I'm good, as soon as I'm good, I'm gonna, yeah. So I just need to think about the character. I always try to like think I'm going to be really clever and request this really cool, like this character doing this really cool thing, and then it turns out like, oh, either someone's already suggested that, or like it doesn't come out as cool as you think it does.
I find if you just ask for exactly what you want, you'll be the happiest anyways. Because like it doesn't matter if it's just like another Venom. Like if, as you know, again, it's also I can't have just Venom drinking beer.
Right.
It's not gonna happen anyways.
But
like maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's like Venom pushing Spider-Man on a swing or something.
That'd be pretty hilarious.
Made of symbiote or something.
What was the what are some of like the oddest requested commissions that you've gotten? Like I'm assuming you've gotten a few where it's like, oh, can you draw, Wolverine doing this or whatever? Like what are some of the weird, like I guess weird ones that you were able to legally draw, I guess?
Usually it's been pretty vanilla with people. Like a lot of people are just like, can I just have Wolverine? Just a good old fashioned, just give me my like a cheeseburger Wolverine. You got it. Like it's actually been pretty tame. Like one guy just wanted like a Jean Grey and Cyclops, and it was just Jean Grey and Cyclops. It wasn't Jean Grey and Cyclops playing chess. Like So I suppose I could.
Do you like it when you're doing commissions that you're given as much detail about what the person wants in their sketch, or do you like it where you're kind of like someone says just draw me a Wolverine? Do you like it when you have more freedom, or do you prefer it when you have more description?
I'd say it just depends on the individual. If I feel as though the individual is really in just a pure, I'm submitting to your artistic production, then I would probably be happy. Hey, I think I might do this over here. Maybe like push it a little this direction, or maybe make it a little bit more expressionistic in one way. I'm happy to do that. If I feel as though the person's a little bit more type A about it, where like this Wolverine needs to be 3/4 of the page over here, one hand, not two. Like that, I feel as though the more bartering that goes on with the client, the more I'm just gonna be like play it the safest, because there's the potential that the person who has the most requests is the least likely to be satisfied. Whereas I find the ones that usually like are happy to like pay a lot more are the ones that don't think anything of it. They're like, whatever you do is what I want.
What advice would you give to somebody who's trying to get into sketch card art?
I would say being able to budget your time wisely, understanding your worth, and making it more of, try to find a zen in it. Try to find a flow in how you make it, because you aren't just making one card. And not to feel stuck in it, just to enjoy the process of doing, like you're essentially almost like a production line of it, more or less. If you're lucky, like if they continue to keep sending you cards because they are enjoying your work, to find different ways of reinventing like what you want to see in your own work, and maybe just improving the stuff that is just tried and true. And that way you won't feel burnt out. You won't feel as though like I got all these cards to do. What am I going to do with this? Like, they're sending me more boxes. No, like just trying to find like the joys that you find in doing your art and doing your illustrations, and pinpointing on that and letting it spread out to whatever new sets may come your way. I just want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you. It's been a pleasure, Mark. I'm flattered and honored to have you on your channel, and I look forward to doing more work and talking more. And it's been a hoot.
Awesome. Well, yeah, it was a pleasure having you. I would love to have you back again soon, so you can talk about the stuff that you couldn't talk about. But yeah,
because some stuff I have is like NDA, where you're like, you can't talk about that. Like you can't even talk about talking about that.
That's right. So we'll definitely have you back so you can talk about the things that I didn't even know we could talk about. How about that?
That sounds great. And like, anything else you want to talk about? Because it's all good.